Hello and welcome back. This is week 13, part 2. And I'm going to go straight back into our PowerPoint. So I'm moving to slide 16. I'm just writing down that our second video is from slide 16 onwards. So tip number 3 is kind of a funny one. Don't take offense. This is not offensive. You know, you're young adults, and you're at an age now where we can talk about issues that might be a little bit uncomfortable. But because we're in an educational environment, you should be able to deal with this and speak about these kinds of issues without being embarrassed, because we're old enough to know you don't need to be. So tip number 3 is about spelling Korean names. Now, because English is obviously not Korean, it's not Spanish, it's not Japanese, when English borrows words from other languages, we have to figure out how to write them so that they convey a meaning, but not a negative one. So for example, in Korean, I would not call myself sa-li, because I'm not a side dish of noodles. Extra noodles, I guess. So I had to adapt my name so that it matches the way it's said in English, but it also has a good connotation in Korean. So we're going to do the same thing exactly when we change our Korean names into English. So one example that I had in students' writing was Bum-jun. Now, B-U-M in English has a variety of meanings, and they are not necessarily negative, but they connect with a part of the body which is usually not something people want to associate themselves with. So the first one is, usually bum is a noun. The most common use of bum is this picture. So this guy, it's the part of the body that you sit down on, 엉덩이. So if we take a look at the picture, that guy has a wobbly bum, okay? And this is why we don't spell names B-U-M, because in English, if someone says sees B-U-M or hears B-U-M, they think about that part of the body. The other possible interpretations, possible meanings that they could have are, again, a noun. Someone who has no home or job and lives by asking people for money. So the old word is a beggar, because beggars used to ask for alms it used to be part of the church to take care of them. But a bum is someone who maybe physically they can work, but they don't want to. For some reason. It might be mental issues, or there might be something else involved, but usually they ask for money, but they don't actually need to, I shouldn't say it like that, that doesn't sound appropriate. Bumming, a bum is a man on the street who, could be a woman as well, but it's usually a man who should be working but doesn't. So he's a bum. It's a negative, definitely. Noun, the third one is someone who devotes a lot of time to a specific activity rather than working, but usually they can afford to do that. They have enough money to do that. So if you say he's a ski bum, it means he just skis all the time and he doesn't work, basically. So often young, rich kids, basically, they can be ski bums. The fourth case, so you can see there's generally a negative connotation to the word bum. The verb can also be used to ask someone if you can get something from them. So I think it's associated with the idea of a bum asking you for things on the street. You know, they try to bum some money off of you, or they ask, you know, somebody wants to bum, bum 1,000원 off of you, or bum a cigarette off of you, was what they used in the dictionary. So instead of spelling B-U-M for names, what I suggest is we change it to B-E-O-M for the name. If you want to take a further look at the varieties of bum, I've given you the hyperlink there. You can link to it and see what goes on with bums. Anyways, moving on now to slide 17. Week 11, still going, simple corrections. This is again still looking at the paragraphs. So take a look at these and see if you can figure out what's wrong. Go. Okay, so I had a couple of these where I was giggling. I was laughing out loud about this. So talking about the paragraphs, number one, you can watch this video when you feel boring. We have spoken about this. So remember that boring is when we talk about something that's outside, but when we feel something inside, we use the description with ed, that is your adjective choice. So you can watch this video when you feel inside. How do you feel? Bored. Okay, so when you feel bored, you can watch a video. Number two and three are related, and they're very similar because I think what's happening is that students are directly translating. But remember that in English, often, especially in these cases, we cannot directly translate because we give a different meaning entirely. Meet means you and I, first time we look at each other and we say, oh, hello, nice to meet you. So if you met Jason for real, shaking his hands, hello, my name is Sally, hello, my name is Jason, then I would accept it. But I'm inclined to say that you did not meet him. What you're trying to express is that you first saw him on TV, or you first saw him perhaps in a, I don't know, Muhandwajan, something like that. So instead of saying I first met him, which means person to person, you want to say I first saw him. So I first saw him on TV, I first saw him on, perhaps, I'm thinking TV is where you saw him. Number three, I knew Taeyeon in middle school means at that time we were friends, and now we're not. I don't think that's what you're going for. I'm inclined to say that what you want to say is something like, I heard Taeyeon the first time, or I heard about Taeyeon. Maybe your friend told you about her. I heard about Taeyeon in middle school. I heard Taeyeon in middle school, something like that. The next one, number four, I was giggling over this one. Elderly means 65 years old and older. And elderly tends to, I think we'd say maybe Silver Town in Korean. But anyway, so he's 33 years old and elderly. It doesn't match. Elderly, basically, immediately I think about gray hair, glasses, maybe a cane, and someone going, I go. They have a sore back or sore knees or something like that. So 33 years old and elderly is not a good match. What am I? He's 33 and he's elderly. Anyways, I'm a zombie. So number four, I prefer he's older, I think is what you said. He's older than you. So he's 33 years old. Number five was another one that was quite common. We had three issues here. So the first point was elementary school for you is over. So what tense should you be using? You should be using past tense. It's over. So to reflect that, we need I liked. Okay, so I liked them. I have liked them, actually, is what we want, because it was before now, but we want to, we haven't specified exactly when. Was it in grade 5, grade 6? Just elementary school, we say I have. Starting from that point, I have liked them since I was, and remember the capital I always. If you use a small I, it has no skill. There's no skill involved. That's one of the most basic elementary school level points, is when you talk about yourself, it should be capital I. So I have liked them since I was in elementary school. So there's your school, you went inside, you registered, you joined the school. That means you are in school. You are in the elementary school, and when you graduate, you are no longer a part of the school, you are no longer in elementary school. Number 6, we had 2 issues. The first one is, and I noticed a lot of students were writing all capital letters for the names of bands. So, Janabee should not be all capital letters. If you write all capital letters in English, it's yelling or screaming. So the way that I read this in my head is my favorite song is Janabee's new song. I'm thinking of Autumn Night. So you can see that's not what you want people to be thinking. I had the same for Twice. I had Janabee twice. Anyways, there were a variety of names that people gave in all capital letters. You should not be using all capital letters. The next point is that, remember, a song is a title. It's a name. So whenever we give titles, whenever we use names, you need to use capital letters for your major words. So we need capital I for I'm, capital T for thinking, capital A for autumn, and capital N for night. For your prepositions, if they're in the middle, like of is here, we don't need to capitalize them, but extra capital letters, I'm not going to deduct points, but if you're missing your capital letters, I will deduct points. So do please be careful. I'm going to move on now to slide 19. And slide 19 again is a reminder, because I'm noticing that although I've spoken about these things before, a number of students have not paid attention, perhaps. So I just want to use a reminder, basically. So this is a tip, but it's a reminder because we have done this before. Remember that when we talk about both, so I'm going to use, let's go with some nice fall colors. I've got my 2 colors here, okay? So I'm going to use purple as A, and I'm going to use my orange as B. So if I say both, it means purple yes, orange yes. I like both. Okay, I like both purple and orange. So notice the connector is and. Okay, I like both purple and orange. Either means I don't care, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I like either. I like purple, I like orange, but the 2 of them together, no. So it means just one. Or, you can also say I don't mind, I like either. Doesn't matter. If you say I like neither, the meaning is bleh, bleh. I don't like purple and I don't like orange. I like neither. They both suck. So an important point about this is when people ask you a question, you should focus on the first verb that you hear. So in this example, what I've chosen to do is, this is something you'll hear very commonly in restaurants when you go overseas. So if you go to another country, and I mean, obviously that's not going to be for a while. I would think wait at least 3 years, perhaps even more. But you would hear a question like this very, very often, especially in Europe, Canada, and the States. Often your meal includes tea or coffee at the end of your meal. So when you finish your dinner or lunch or whatever, breakfast, and the waiter comes to take your dishes, or perhaps even at the beginning of the meal, they will ask you, do you like, not the waiter, sorry. This is just regularly asking somebody you know, do you like tea or coffee? It means, do you enjoy drinking tea and do you enjoy drinking coffee? So if you say I like both, it means coffee is good and tea is good. If you say I like either, it means I don't care. Coffee's okay, tea's okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you say I like neither, it means I don't like coffee, I don't like tea, I don't like hot drinks maybe. Now, the important point here, what I'm trying to connect for you, is if someone changes it and they say would you, would implies what is your choice. So if I've now moved on to slide number 20. So this is your 3rd tip again. You got to listen for the do or the would at the beginning. So do you like means does it taste nice? Do you like coffee? Do you like tea? Do you like coffee or tea? I like them. Would you means please choose one. What would you like to drink right now? So right now, think to yourself, what would you like to drink right now? Would you like tea or coffee? So I'm hoping you answer with would as well, which implies my choice, if you remember. My choice, I would like coffee, please. That would be my choice. I would like coffee. But if I drank a coffee now, then I'd be up forever because I'm too sensitive to caffeine. Anyways, moving on. I'm now moving on to part 2. So I just want to do a very quick week 12 review, and then we'll move on to our new topic. So once again, week 12, we talked about self-expression and conclusions. So one of the most important points is that the adjectives you choose give the feeling. So remember to match your feeling with the adjective choice. So give the audience the feelings that you have using those adjectives. Use synonyms to add to that. Don't repeat words. I would accept a word repeated twice. After that, no, boring. And it shows low skill. So what skill level are you? If you have low skill, please use lots of the same words. If you have medium skill, change a little bit. If you have high skill, don't repeat words. It's up to you. Now, this becomes complex when we're thinking about essays. So it's really, really important for you to choose topics and choose choose details and adjectives that reflect your feelings and that you know a lot about. So once again, an essay, very, very simply, is 5 paragraphs. So if you don't understand a paragraph, making an essay is going to be very, very difficult and perhaps even impossible. If you're not sure about paragraphs, review. Go back again. All of these videos are available all online. You can download the PowerPoints again. I have no problems. If you have problems accessing them, contact me. I have everything on file. So again, your paragraphs should follow the same pattern as what your general paragraph is. So your essay has the same principle, the same system. We start with an introduction paragraph, and in that 10-sentence introduction paragraph, we give 3 general ideas as well as a general topic that we're going to be discussing throughout the whole essay. In the next 3 paragraphs, we're going to develop. Detail 1 will be developed into a whole paragraph, and you give 3 further details about that. In detail 2, we're going to develop into an entire paragraph. This will be 1, 2, 3, paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 develops detail 2, and we give 3 further details. So we give a more deep analysis, a deep look at what we're discussing, our detail 2. Detail 3, of course, these are our body paragraphs, but they're not separate sentences, remember. These are one clear paragraph, the same as what I've shown you in our books. Paragraph, 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 paragraph. So we should be using indents to show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, okay? So once we've got our 4 paragraphs, we have 4 indents, right? Same topic, same topic, same topic, same topic, right? Detail 1 topic, detail 2 topic, detail 3 topic, and then our conclusion paragraph. Your conclusion paragraph is paragraph number 5. That's the one most people want to get rid of. It can be difficult, but as long as you've done your brainstorming and your organization well, this should be relatively easy to construct. So remember that one of the most important points for your, especially introduction and conclusion, is using those synonyms. Try to use new words or move the sentence around. Change the position of those words. So that's our general review, what I wanted to discuss. And I'm going to move on now to tip 4. This was something that I really enjoyed. A lot of students, not a lot, maybe 3 or 4 students talked about soul food. Now, soul food originally comes from African American culture, so fried chicken and grits and collards and black beans and lovely, delicious food. But it's come now to be a culturally accepted word by different cultures. So we can talk about soul food and not be African American. Essentially what soul food is it's food that makes you feel really, really good. It's food that you have grown up with, food that maybe your mom made for you, your grandma made for you, and when you think about that food or you smell that food, it makes you go, ah. So when you feel down, when you feel a little bit depressed, you want to eat these foods because they make you feel better. They're good for your soul. Now, again, these differ culturally. So soul food in Korea might be different, not might, it is different to African American soul food. Or to, you can also say individually. So maybe soul food for one student would be tteokbokki and bulgogi and kimbap, but in another family, maybe their mom made different foods. So their soul food has a different meaning for them. So it can differ by culture, and it also can differ by individual because it's important for you in your family as well. Maybe your mom's really good at making specific kinds of food. So what are your soul foods? What do you remember? What do you think of as the loveliest foods when you feel down and depressed? Anyways, I'm going to move on now to slide number 24. Slide 24 is us finally moving on to part 3. So this is conversation strategies in essay development. Basically, we've got about 8 slides left, so stick with me. I'm just going to do 2 videos this week because it's enough. I think it's enough. I think you guys are doing a good job, and what we're going to do is take a look first at essay development. So, if you remember, we talked about conversation strategies right at the beginning. If you want to go back and take a look again, please feel free. Conversation strategies are basically ways to fill spaces and to make sure that the other people are clearly understanding what you're thinking and what's going on. We don't want to have big pauses, basically. We want to make sure everyone is comfortable. So, anyways, essay development. So essentially what we want to do is we want to think about how to develop our essays. So essentially there are some very basic points that logically you should be able to think about and figure these things out. Number 1, most importantly, review questions and think about what questions are good to be asking in interviews. So of course follow-up questions are important as well. Now remember that we don't ask questions just to get one answer and give the answer. What we're looking for is we're trying to find interesting answers, and then we talk about those interesting answers. Number 2, brainstorming. Brainstorming is a very, very important step because this gives us the framework for what we're going to talk about, and it helps us to decide if our topic is big enough and interesting for us to talk about for 50 sentences, because you don't want a boring topic, do you? I don't want to be reading about a boring topic. I really like, reading about interesting things, not the boring stuff. Number 3, remember that one of the most important points about an essay is that it's 5 paragraphs long. So if you are having issues, if you're having difficulties, break it up. This is our point. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach you how to look at it. So instead of seeing this huge, instead of seeing a huge cake or a huge hamburger, I'm using food because I'm hungry, but instead of looking at it as one big thing, what we want to do is we want to think about, okay, how do you make it? So we start with eggs, we start with flour, we start with, strawberries and flavors to make a cake. You don't just suddenly have a cake appear. So your 5 paragraphs is the step by step. Remember, it's really important for you to have a conclusion in each of your paragraphs and also to have a conclusion paragraph itself, because these are usually what's missing from when students get tired, they just skip it. Moving on some more, so I'm moving on to slide 26 now. So to develop your essays also, don't forget about these points. So we need capital letters, check yourself, and we need capitals for the words in the title and for any names that we have throughout the essay. This includes movie titles, song titles, book titles, anything. If we're talking about our school, or you're talking about places that you go to that are famous, we need capital letters. Number two. Number two, I'm noticing that there are still a lot of students who, I'm not sure if you've forgotten or if you don't care, but it will be marked against you. So remember to use, we have studied this. You know how to write your name in English style and with capital letters. So don't forget, because if you're using Korean style, remember it conveys a different meaning. So if you put, Kim Soo first, then people will think that's your first name is Kim Soo. Your first name's Kim, Soo's your family name, or something like that. So please be careful. Number three, make sure and review your essays. Before you hand something in, you should always, always, always review. Check over and look for these small mistakes. These are simple ways for you to get more marks. What do you want? Do you want more points or not? You want more points. Check yourself, edit yourself, fix the mistakes. Number four, this is a really simple edit point. You cannot interview questions. Okay, so make sure that the grammar formula that you're using in English matches what you want to say. So I interviewed what or who? I interviewed Yuri, period. Okay, so you interviewed the person, we separate, we get another sentence. I asked Yuri interview questions. So the interview describes the questions, it's using it as an adjective. So remember to make sure that you're conveying what you want to say. The next thing too is be careful about using Korean in the text. If you want to use Korean, of course, it's fine, it's perfectly fine. But because many foreigners don't read Korean, we need to help them. So we can do it in this way. My partner likes tteokbokki, but I don't. I like ramen. So ramen we should write in English letters, or if you want to, you can translate it too. It doesn't really matter, but you shouldn't be using Korean script, Korean letters, or Hangul in our text. Be careful also, I've noticed that sometimes people are interviewing their partners, but they talk about themselves. So I find that confusing because I'm not sure if it's you're changing, and instead of saying he likes tteokbokki, he doesn't like ramen, you're just switching it by mistake and using the wrong pronouns, or if you are talking about yourself. But remember, the paragraph is not about you. I'm sorry, you are fascinating also. But I'm really trying to get you using this third person. So my partner likes tteokbokki, but he doesn't like ramen. If you want to talk about your partner, fine. You should try to stay away from yourself. I did have some students who talked a bit about themselves, and it actually worked really well. But anyways, focus on your partner. Don't use contractions unless you're speaking. So remember, contractions are when we take two words like do not and we make one word don't. So do not do that. Okay, we want to keep it separate and show our skill. Use your English letters for Korean, please. Moving on to slide 27, we're into our finale. Only a few more slides left and you're done. Very good job, very good job. Your week 13 assignment 1 is please to look back, look at your week 12 essay and see if you can remember. You should be able to find it very, very easily. What are details number 1, 2, and 3 in paragraph 1? Underline them, okay? And you're going to copy and paste them for me. Number 2, did you find them in the introduction paragraph? Because they should be in the introduction paragraph, and then detail 1 should be the topic for paragraph number 2. Detail 2 from the introduction paragraph should be your paragraph 3 topic. And detail 3 topic from your introduction paragraph should be paragraph 4 topic. If you find it confusing, talk to me. I can understand why it would be confusing, but as long as you have followed me step by step, it shouldn't be a problem. Talk to your classmates as well, because if they understand, it might be easy for them to explain it to you very, very quickly. Now, the most important point here is, are the words identical? If the words in the introduction paragraph and paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 are identical, bleh, it's boring. Please, please, please change. Find topics, find details which you can talk about in lots of different ways. I know you have the vocabulary, I know you can do it, but you have to think about it. Also, please check to make sure that you have 10 sentences per paragraph. Make sure that you have followed that pattern of 2 sentences per paragraph. We've got a nice paragraph shape, like what we see in books. Basically, what we're looking for is you should have an assignment that looks so beautiful. I can send it in to a publisher, and we can publish it in the Korea Herald. Moving on to, and you would be very, very welcome to submit your writing into the GNUE newspaper. Sure, try. Your writing is lovely. Now, I'm moving on to slide 28. We've only got, 4 more after this, 4 more slides. So your week 13 assignment 2 is to choose one of these topics to write about. So we're following the same pattern as what we did last week, but I've given you new topics to write about. So number 1, talk about what you do when you decide to go on a vacation. I know we can't, but we can imagine. How do you plan where to go? Who do you usually go with? So if you notice, I'm thinking about our W's, okay? So this is a really good way to develop essays, is to think about your 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why. What websites do you use to research your trip? Is there anything in particular that you like to do before you go on a vacation? Finding hotels or deciding who to go with. Number 2, so what tense would you use for this? So we're talking about what we do, what we usually do. So what tense is it? Number 2, write about the best event from your childhood. Why was it the best? What made it so good? Who was there? Where was it? When did it happen? So again, we've got all of these ideas that you can think about. Number 3, but the most important point is it should be something that you really enjoy, that you want to talk about. Childhood is over, so what tense would you use? You should be using past tense, I hope you said. Number 3, write about what you will do. So we're talking about the future. What you will do when you graduate from our university. Have you got plans? What plans do you have? So essentially, if it's an interesting question for you, then you choose that one. If it's not interesting, don't choose it. Number 4, where would you like to go over the next 3 years? Where are you planning to travel to? Or in 3 years' time, where would you like to go? Where, if you had a choice of, this is just imaginary, purely imaginary. We can do it in our mind, even if we can't do it in our minds, even if we can't do it in reality. Where are you planning to travel to? Where would you like to go? Number 5, write about the best vacation you have ever had in your life. Include details of why it has been the best vacation of your life. So again, remember, we're thinking about the who, what, where, when, why, thinking about the details that we can use to describe all of these things. So moving on now to slide 29. Don't forget, when you're writing your 5-paragraph essay, which is your assignment, use all of the rules we have studied. Use your articles for nouns, use transition words, use synonyms and antonyms if, you probably will need them. For example, in your synonyms, don't use first, use to start, or for example, or to begin with, or for instance. There's lots of options there. Use your adjectives. Adjectives are fantastic. They convey your meaning. If you had a great vacation, use good, positive adjectives. If you had a negative experience, we have negative adjectives. Slide 30. I've given you some more transition words here, just as a reminder. You can also go online and find some if you wish. Please don't use first, second, third, as always. I also noticed that sometimes students were creating their own style, which, you know, sometimes it's okay, but this one doesn't work. At the first or at the beginning is actually a placement. So it's a physical being in a place. So if someone is at the start, it means that they're going to start a race at the beginning of the race, at the start of the race. So we don't use at. So I suggest that these would be some good transition words. If you want to use your own, you need to research it on the web or check with me. You can just ask. Don't forget, slide 31, your conclusion paragraph. So remember your conclusion paragraph, it is paragraph 5. You restate and summarize the important information which you have given throughout your essay. It's similar, right? Your top bun and bottom bun. It's similar to the introduction paragraph, your paragraph 1. It must be there. Okay, if you're missing your conclusion paragraph, please use synonyms. Don't repeat the same words. If you repeat the same words, it's very low skill. It's got to be at the end of your essay, and do not start giving new information right at the end of your essay, because it's over. If you want to give new information, you do it at the start, at the beginning, which is why your brainstorming and organizing is so important. So, dun, 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 you're done. Excellent job. This is slide 32, your week 13 assignment. Please, please, please submit it before Sunday, November 22nd, 12 a.m. and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.